Well, hello, everyone. My name is Trey Dyer, and I'd like to welcome you to the Road to Ignition 2013 webinar. Guys, this is a three-part series. If you've joined us tonight, I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to learn more about what is the Ignition 2013 to the Extreme is going to be all about. This is a three-part series. We're going to talk a little bit tonight, give you some great information, and then as we progress, the next two will be more and more in depth. I'm going to let our really kind of our guest speaker talk a little bit more in depth about that. Guys, I'm joined tonight by a really good friend of mine. He is, if you've been to an Ignite Academy, this gentleman developed Ignite Academy. I guess he's been doing it now for 7 years, maybe a little longer. He directs Ignite Academy, and he hosts Ignite Academy. He also hosts the Ignition every year, guys. He's like Alex Trebek, Bob Barker, and Pat Sajak all rolled into one as far as a host. And you guys all know and love him. He is the number 3 money earner. He is a presidential director. Welcome, Mr. Brian Lucia. Brian, welcome to the webinar.
Hey, you forgot Billy Crystal.
There you go. I knew I was something.
Oh, it's too funny. Well, I don't know how to take that, but thank you, Trey. And I'm excited to really get into sharing what Ignition 2013 to the Extreme is going to be like for everybody. I think that it is a appropriate slogan where all of us can take our business to the extreme this year. I know there's a lot of people ready to have a big year.
It's going to be a great time, and I'm looking forward to this webinar, Brian. We've got some pretty good stuff happening right now. Talk about the special, the registration special, and how quickly that's going to go away.
Yeah, as of right now, anyone who is new in Ignite can register for $49 if they've signed up as a brand new associate since February 1st. And, you know, corporate really is always looking out for us. I like what they've done here, Trey, that if somebody has just joined, certainly they just paid for their business. Normally, there was an early bird special of $99. I think it goes up to $149 total. But they've done a special for everybody to get started. If you've already registered for Ignition, like Trey and I both have, and maybe you just registered yourself, whether it be budget-wise, and you want to register a spouse or a friend, they also have extended that. If the associate ID number of somebody's business has already paid the $99 early bird, then you too can also bring an additional person in addition to that associate ID number for $49. So. You know, certainly corporate knows the importance of Ignition, Trey, and you and I do, and can't say enough to people about the importance of being there, and they're really stepping up, giving everybody a chance to get there financially.
And correct me, Brian, if I'm wrong, but any new associate that joins in the month of February also gets that deal, right? That $49 deal?
That is correct. That is correct.
Can't beat that, man. Can't beat that. Well, hey, this looks like your department right here, man. The map of the Dallas Convention Center and the Omni. Great picture up there.
Yeah, it's a little overwhelming for somebody to see this for the first time, Trey. But what's great about this venue, last year we were there for the first time. In years past, we've been at a hotel that was off-site and had to shuttle over or drive over. But the convention center is actually attached. This Omni Hotel is the new Dallas Convention Center Hotel. Last year, we were one of the very first conventions ever to be in that hotel. Everyone who was there saw how beautiful the place is. Just being able to walk through the corridor from the hotel down to the convention center on Saturday is great. One thing to note, and we'll get into this more, Trey, through the three-part series that you put together, but I'll just throw it out here tonight. Last year, some of the Friday workshops were in the convention center, which, if you're looking at the screen, was to the left, obviously, the convention center side, the hotel's over to the right. This year, all of the Friday workshops are right there in the hotel. So you won't move much more than 10 or 20 feet here or there, which is really neat.
Yes, and in case you're wondering, everybody, we're gonna this 3-part series. We're gonna kick it off with a real 10,000-foot view of ignition, and then as we get closer and closer to ignition, we're going to get into all the details. We will leave no stone unturned as far as details. You'll know everything you need to know about ignition by the time we get done with this 3-part series. But Brian, we have a few. This year's a little bit different as far as the scheduling. Talk about that, man.
Well, in years past, the EDSD meeting kicked things off, and then there really wasn't a whole lot that evening. This year, Ignition again is kicked off with the EDSD meeting, and the leadership will come in early. Normally, for those of you who are EDs or SDs, this meeting has been 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Please note the new time. The meeting is going to be from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., and the reason for that is the company has moved our Leadership Awards banquet to Thursday night. A lot of us in the field had asked for that. As usual, corporate listened. Love how they're always in tune with what we feel is best for the company and for all of us associates. And, not to jump too far ahead, Trey, but we wanted the Leadership Awards dinner on Thursday because we wanted to have more free time on Friday night to spend time with our team instead of being in the banquet all night long. So what's really great this year, again, the EDSD meeting 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., and then the Leadership Awards banquet, guys. You see there's a reception out in the foyer, out in front of the Omni Dallas ballroom from 7 to 8, and then the actual dinner inside the ballroom will be from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. And do note that this is an invitation only for EDs and SDs. If you are not yet an SD, remember you have pretty much up until that day to get promoted and get in there. So do everything in your power to get to senior director. We want to see you at that function. It is in black tie optional, and it's nice to see everybody, Trey, get out in their best duds. Everyone has fun dressing up. Notice the RSVP at the bottom, EDs and SDs. If you have not already done so, you do need to RSVP because you won't get in the door without obviously being on the RSVP list, because the tables will be set up per head. It's a tight squeeze in there at that ballroom, and there's a lot of people in one room. But it's really an incredible event. They'll go over the Power of Leadership Award winners. They'll announce the new top 25. A lot of awards there at that night. It's really a great event. So, again, I encourage everyone who's a director, an MD, it's not far-fetched for you to have a chance to promote to senior director. Trey?
Yeah, Brian, it just seems like every year this leadership dinner is always talked about as one of the outstanding highlights of Ignition every year. And I mean, if it's all possible, get there. I mean, whatever you got to do, take the gloves off and get busy to make it to that leadership dinner. You got to be an SD or above to get there, but man, do they know how to hold a special dinner for their leaders. And I would suggest anybody and everybody that can make it to make it lots and lots of fun. Here's I guess this is some pictures from, was this last year, Brian?
That is last year. Yeah, they have a theme every year, and last year's was one enchanted evening. You see the beautiful set and that big picture on the bottom left. As a lot of people recognize they're on stage, a lot of recognition. I love presidential directors Louis and Michelle Miori on the right. If you like surprises, that night they had just learned that they had become presidential directors at that moment. So that was a pretty cool snapshot that the photographer got. Again, Trey, it is a great evening, and I'm one of those people that says it's always one of the best things of the whole weekend.
Yeah, man, I can still remember what a surprise that was, and just the energy in that room. It was really awesome. So get there if you can. Now, Friday we've also got some new additions this year. Talk about Friday. This is going to be a really exciting day this year.
Certainly an action-packed day. The workshops in the past had started at 9, ended at 5. Again, corporate always doing some thinking. It made for the evening to really get away from some people by the time workshops finished. People lingered and visited afterwards, excited about what they saw, and it was hard to get to dinner and then get to the next thing. You'll notice that the workshops, guys, as I mentioned, are in the 2 ballrooms right in Omni. They're next to each other, Dallas and Trinity ballrooms. We'll get more into that in the next couple of webinars that we do in the next 2 weeks. But note the new times, 8 a.m. to 4:30. And Trey, there are sessions going on pretty much every hour on the hour from 8 to noon and from, I think it is 1:30 to 4:30. So 3-hour segments there with some breaks in between, and they'll be able to do that. I tell you, one of the things I'm most excited about this year is what you see in the middle of the slide, the managing director reception. This is the brainchild of Daryl Smith, who really runs Ignite. And, you know, we're really putting an emphasis on recognition this year more than ever. The company's always done a great job, but you can't have too much recognition. And with that leadership dinner on Thursday with SDs and EDs, it just made sense that there was a time slot that they could put this together. And Daryl came up with this, and everybody on the corporate side really has pushed to make that happen. And so from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the Trinity Ballroom, managing director, there's a reception for you. And I'll tell you, that'll probably last really till about 8:45 or 8:50, because then they are going to usher you in through a VIP entrance into the Dallas Ballroom for the first ever Extreme Factor. And guys, you can see about the silhouettes there. This is a talent show. You can call it like your Ignite Idol or the old American Idol with with the X Factor and The Voice all wrapped in one. People have been auditioning for this and sending in videos to corporate. They've narrowed down the contestants, and there'll be 3 rounds. There'll be all of the contestants, and then they'll bring it down to a semifinals and then a final round. And guess what, Trey? We in the audience get to vote, just like people at home vote for American Idol by texting. There's a new software that corporate is getting where we can text from the audience who we like each round. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I will say that you never know what kind of talent you're going to have, and I will tell you that Ignite Associates are extremely talented, no pun intended. I got to see some of them, and it is going to be a lot of fun for everybody, not just those on stage, for all of us watching.
You know, Brian, all I can say about the Extreme Factor is Simon Cowell, eat your heart out. This is going to be awesome.
That's correct. You got it, buddy.
Well, hey, man, we're in for a special treat this year on Saturday that is sure to be very, very crowded, very popular, and very anticipated.
Yeah, the general session is always, the focal point of the whole weekend, and it's I've heard it described as part rock concert, part revival. And it's such a good feeling. I tell people you walk into the convention center arena and you'll float out. And I was talking to somebody earlier, Trey, and I said, it would be a perfect 10 even if we didn't have our keynote speaker this year. But the fact that the company has listened again, and it's been a theme here with me tonight, but at our PD retreat, a presidential director retreat, we had a weekend in September with corporate and all the presidential directors, and we threw it out there. They said, hey guys, what do you want? We went over all kinds of things about enhancements to the comp plan and BP and everything we thought would be good for 2013. And we also said, hey, we want John Maxwell at our convention. And they're like, well, we'll look into that. And lo and behold, here we go. Certainly the foremost author out there right now, the guy who's really the epitome of leadership training, is going to be at our convention. We're really excited to have him. And it's not going to be a 5-minute speech. We've got him for a healthy period of time on Saturday. I'm pretty excited about it, Trey.
Yeah, you're definitely going to want to bring your notepad and take copious notes because this guy is somebody that you definitely want to study. I mean, let's face it, our business is about leadership, and this is the foremost speaker on leadership, the foremost authority on leadership. So I can't wait. I am really looking forward to hearing Maxwell. And think about it, Brian. People pay hundreds of dollars just to sit and listen to this man talk. Hey, if you hadn't signed up for Ignition, you get to see John Maxwell $49. That is incredible. And so, what a deal, huh? What a deal.
Yeah, greatness. Trey, you know what's funny? I'll hold on that slide for a second because I love this. I'll kind of tell a little story on myself here. When you look at the Omni, it is an amazing building. Now, the center picture with the Ignite with the red bars, I guess, across the hotel, the LED lights, that is not Photoshopped. That is the actual hotel last year, our logo on the building. Now, I will tell on myself that the picture to the left with the to the extreme, I actually superimposed that one on there, but you can imagine that it's going to look like that this year, just like it did last year. We're really excited. It's a really cool hotel, and to see our company's name in lights the entire weekend is pretty impressive. You also see a view of one of the guest rooms there. It is a swanky, awesome hotel, and guys, we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, Brian, I can remember driving up to the hotel last year, and it was dark, and just to watch Ignite to scroll up on the side of that hotel. I mean, it was, you know, as you get closer to it, man, it is huge, and it was an awe-inspiring sight. And so I cannot wait to see that again this year. I'm going to take a few pictures this year of the outside of that. Great hotel, man. Hey, talk about Saturday night.
Well, Saturday night, the weekend comes to a close with our grand finale party. Every year, Chelsea Thompson, the event manager at corporate, does an amazing job. And this year they chose a theme, Blazing Saddles. I think the reason they wanted to do that is that, you know, everybody from the Northeast kept talking about wanting to buy boots and hats. I don't know why. And so corporate decided, hey, we'll make it easy and people won't have to get elaborate costumes to come to the party. So throw on your Wranglers, grab a hat and some boots, and let's go have a good time. But I think that'll be fun. And, you know, you never know, Trey. I'm sure there'll be some people with, you see at the bottom it says Wild Wild West Party. I think we'll probably see some people dressed really wild, too. I think, you know, Bernadette Wright, an executive director out of Georgia, told me she's already got a costume picked out that we're all going to like.
Uh-oh. Well, you know, I've had a lot of people call me and say, yeah, I've got my boots, and I'm gonna pick up some Western wear. And you know, my response, Brian, is always, heck, I'm just going to come in my work clothes. So
there in Texas.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, I put together, actually, you put together a few ignition memory slides. I'm just kind of slowly through these, scroll through these, Brian. You might want to comment on these. These are just some awesome pictures of ignitions past, and hey, let's just spend a couple of minutes and enjoy these. What do you say?
Yeah, Trey, before you click to the next one, and then you can go through them a little quicker, I just had this conversation with Michael Tacker, who's the Director of Field Development for Georgia at corporate today, and we were looking at some of these, and I said, you know, it's just hard to explain to somebody without the pictures the magnitude of what that event's like. And as Trey, go ahead and scroll through, just the set design of the convention center. That's a couple of years ago, and you see how huge and massive the set is. And you look at those pictures on the bottom, Rob Snyder, the founder and chairman of Stream Energy. A lot of people who don't know him real well don't know he is a absolute soccer buff, was a storied player at Notre Dame University, still holds records there. And, you know, in that picture, he's kicking balls into the audience, and whoever caught the ball got to take a ride in his plane as soon as they promoted to his next position. So, you know, Ignition is full of all kinds of fun. And there's, again, the size of that stage. I think that's 2009. But it's just amazing. The spectacular open. I want to throw this out here, and we'll get into it more in the next couple of webinars. But, guys, you don't want to get to any of these events late, especially Saturday morning. Saturday morning starts at 9. You're going to want to be in your seat no later than 8:15, 8:30, because at 9 o'clock, they don't say, well, there's traffic outside. No, they start on time, and the open is always the most fun of the whole thing. So it's pretty cool. A lot of talent.
Never miss that opening act, Brian, do you? Never miss it.
Never. Trey, there's a good shot of the arena with the lights on. You can see everybody jammed in there, just eagerly waiting the morning to get started. Look over there to the right. There's a number one runner, Presley Swagger there, the coach. Good to see him over there. There he is. Kind of spot people in the crowd, don't you? I think that's 2 years ago. No, 3 years ago, Trey. That's No Fear, No Limits, that NFNL, No Fear, No Limits. But these memories are amazing. You can see a my buddy Randall Blackman and his wife, Michelle. Randall certainly married over his head, outkicked his punt coverage. That was the year that they were named the Assist Award winners. The Assist, one of the two big awards given every year. The Assist Award winner is certainly somebody who helps everybody in the field with no monetary gain in mind, just out building. And Trey, we've talked about recognition. You see here, there's an example of the Senior Director Parade that they have every year. Up on the top left, I think on the bottom right is the Power of Leadership Award winners last year. And so there's a lot of recognition for those of you who are senior directors. Get ready to walk across that stage. Work on your cartwheels or your what do you call those, Trey? The ones that go a full over flip.
I don't know. I'll tell you though.
They're not going to be. It won't be as long a catwalk this year. I've seen the stage, but probably enough room for a cartwheel.
Yeah. Well, the real excitement usually on those SD parades is after they get off stage, all the high fives and the executive directors and presidential directors, and it's just like one big love fest, man. It's just craziness.
It's greatness. It's fun. Let's see. What do you got next? I don't know the order. Oh, we're now going to go into the party. You guys saw the theme of Blazing Saddles, the Western theme for this year. Wait till you see how great these parties are. And Trey, the thing that just still, when I tell people about this, to see grown folks really get into costume parties. Other than maybe a Halloween party here and there, it's hard to get adults to really get into costume parties. But as people look at this, you saw the black and bling, and 2 years ago we had a glow party. Everybody gets all decked out, and they dance like nobody's looking. Hold on, stay on this for a second, see if anyone can recognize you. Trey Dyer is somewhere in this picture. No, he's not Pee Wee Herman on the bottom. But this 80s party.
I'm here somewhere.
I'm
out here.
Yeah, okay. Hey, I'll just call you Richard.
Check out Adrian Avila of Director Support as Flash.
That is greatness. I mean, this thing is just a blast. The 80s party in 2010. I think, well, it was 2009. Was that the white party? Click again. There you go, yeah. It was amazing. Chelsea Thompson does an amazing job with this. She had the whole place was a white out, balloons. The hors d'oeuvres were all white. I mean, it was excellent in there. And let's see, what was 2008? I don't even remember, Trey. Oh, there we go. Incognito, the masquerade party. I should have remembered that. There's Trey and Sally Dyer there on the picture on the left. Trey in the white, Sally in the pink. Logan Stout and Haley, his wife, there next to them. So you can see everybody gets into it. And the first ever 2007, that was the 70s party. For a lot of you, you'll love this one. The bottom right-hand corner, that's not Austin Powers. That is actually Mr. Ignite, Steve Fisher, and his lovely bride, Diane. And our buddy Wendell and his wife, Amy Campbell, over on the left. Kind of fun to see these pictures, Trey. We've had a lot of good time, and I'm sure there'll be some great pictures of the Blazing Saddles. Well, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Brian, look at the fake chest hair, Steve, down to the last detail. He had his own fake chest hair there. Isn't that something?
That's why I said it's not Austin Powers.
That's craziness, man. That's crazy.
Oh, that's great.
Well, hey, let's get serious for a minute, Brian. Let's talk about what Ignition really does. Hey, obviously it's a lot of fun. Obviously it's one heck of a party. I mean, one thing Ignite does know how to do is they know how to put on an event. They know how to throw a party. But why is it so important that we make our way to Ignition?
Well, Trey, you say it all the time. This business, this industry, and the business is about belief. Belief in the industry, belief in our company, and belief in ourselves. And you really get all three of those at Ignition. The big picture is seeing beyond your local meeting, seeing beyond maybe watching a DVD at your house, and wherever you live, seeing that bigger picture with people just like you from all walks of life and all parts of our country in one place, all pulling from the same side of the rope. So you really can't say enough about that. I'll let you take it from there.
Brian. Yeah, Brian, every time I think about a big event like Ignition, and Ignition is the biggest, always bigger and better than it was the year before. But every time I think about a big event and what it does for you, I think about my good buddy, John Gotti, Senior Director of Power of Leadership in Abilene, Texas. He was involved in Ignite back in 2006, but never really did much until he went to an event like Ignition. And the belief that he received there, it just blew his mind. Went home, and within I think a couple of months, went not only managing director but senior director. It just expanded his belief, and he went out there and exploded his business, Brian. And I've seen that story happen time and time again. Just how important it is to get to ignition. And people come up with the objection. They say, "Hey, Trey, listen, I just can't afford it. It just costs too much for me to get there." And I'm like, listen, it's not what it costs you to get there. It's what it costs you if you don't go. Not going to ignition could cost you $100,000 a year. That's what I believe. And so, make that extra effort to get to ignition, whatever it takes. Have a garage sale, caravan, going together with a group on a couple of rooms or something. It's just so important that you get to ignition. You got to be there. Some interesting stats, Brian, about growth. We had this momentum building up from the first of the year to our first huge event, our biggest event. But look at what it can do for your business. I mean, a full 55% on average of your yearly growth is going to come as a direct result of ignition, the promotions before and the explosion that we explain. That we experience right after ignition. You've seen some pretty huge growth in your day, man. Talk about the importance and what can happen with the momentum that builds up to and after ignition, Brian.
Well, it's usually hard to quantify something from an event like this other than, hey, it's great. But we've seen it time after time. This, as I mentioned, will be our 8th ignition. And in years past, we've really started to study this. And it, plus or minus a couple, but many leaders have really watched over this and tried to categorize it and statistically look at it. And the best way to tell people, Trey, is for every person you have in your team, your downline, in the arena at ignition, and not just Saturday, but certainly all of ignition, Friday, Saturday, whatever it may be, you can multiply the amount of people you have times 10. So if it's you and one other person, that one other person is worth 10 within the next 60 to 90 days. If you have 10 people with you, multiply it times 10, your organization will grow by 100 just from those 10 people. And it comes from that big picture and all the different things that you mentioned, Trey, and not just, having more belief, which they will, but having, specific things to go work on when they get back home from training or new tools that the company provides. And certainly, without forgetting this one, there's always great promotions, rate announcements. Sometimes, they open up new markets. I know this year is not necessarily all about expansion like it has been in the past. This year it's about let's build where we are, let's utilize the tools to be successful. But I will tell you, Trey, your graph is right on because the growth that you have coming out of ignition, like you mentioned, for another 30, 60 days after ignition, can really build up to a huge year. I will say, conversely, for those who are asleep at the wheel or those who their train is stopped at the train station, you're going to miss the wave of momentum if you're not starting to build now. Doesn't mean that you can't get going when all the announcements and things are made, but those who take advantage of this next couple of weeks or have really been working it since the first of the year are the ones who are going to maximize the opportunity.
Brian, I can speak from experience. My first ignition, we've just gotten in the business I'd just seen the business at Super Saturday in January of 2006, and we started building our team, and we got 21 people there, 21 people to ignition that first year on our team. And within 30 days, that 21 turned into 235, Brian. And so I know the power that an event like ignition can create in your team. I know what kind of explosion it can create. And so I'm a big advocate. I tell people this: listen, if you don't think you get 10 times your worth, you come to me, and I'll make sure, and I will get your money refunded right out of my pocket. That's the guarantee I've always made, and I think it holds true. I've never heard anybody say that they didn't think it was 10 times the value that they spent. So definitely important there. let's talk about some goals, man. Let's issue a little challenge here, Brian. We've got a couple of weeks, a little over 2 weeks before Ignition, and I challenge everybody to get out there and, you know, put some new people in the business, put some new blood in the business. Hey, get those new associates registered for $49. And what a way to kick off your business, huh? I mean, basically, you get in the business and you see just how big this thing really is right off the bat. You get your belief way up. I mean, it takes it through the roof. Imagine what can happen if you put 2 or 3 new people in the business, get them to Ignition, and what can happen with the excitement coming out of Ignition. I'd say it's time to go to work the phones, talk to the people on your team already, and of course we always, you know, always want to work the phones over sending an email. But guys, really set your sights on, you know, some immediate goals. We've got some great promotions. Let's talk about that to help get you there. Brian, we've got some good stuff that can help you if you set a goal for 2 or 3 new associates or a certain number of people, getting a certain number of people in your team before Ignition. We've got some terrific tools to help get you there. You want to talk about these promotions, man?
Yeah, this Super Saturday promotion that came out on January 12th at the big Super Saturday event, a Triple Quick Start 4. And just if you're new in the business, normally the Quick Start 4 bonus is $100, hence the name Triple equaling $300. And, you know, when you think about it, if it's $329 for somebody to join Ignite, this makes it, in essence, a free business. And, guys, they extended that. It was to run until the end of January from our big Super Saturday event. And on last Thursday, they extended it 1 more week. It will run through this Thursday night at midnight. I can tell you, I heard rumblings today while down at corporate that it will not be extended again. This is an amazing promotion that they haven't done very often. I think that this is the first time. You know, we've been in the Northeast for 2 years. It's the first time anyone up there has experienced it, and we're all having a lot of fun with it to help our prospects get into business. Well, if you've joined since January 12th, or if you're new in the business, help your list of names, help your contacts have the same opportunity as you to get in and get this $300 back. So anyone who joins, Trey, by midnight on Thursday will still have their 30 days to trigger their 4 points to get that $300. So you put that challenge out there for someone, for all of us to go sponsor 3 people. Hopefully you got people in the pipeline, gang, and can get them done this week, and they can take advantage of that. So, Trey, this has been a big benefit to getting the year kicked off. Momentum is roaring right now. And then there's an additional promotion on the table right now that I think a lot of people have forgotten about, Trey, and that's the Double Business Builder. They call it the Road to Ignition promotion. And on that same Super Saturday event, January 12th, they didn't put a deadline on this until Ignition. They said, hey, look, we know there's a lot of people who money may be tight coming out of Christmas and the holidays, and you want to be at Ignition. So the company basically said for everyone you sponsor, they're going to throw an additional $100 into kind of call it escrow, into a kitty, and then when somebody comes to Ignition, they're going to get that. So again, normally our Business Builder bonus is $100, but anyone that we all sponsor, anyone in Ignite who sponsors a new person between January 12th and that Thursday of Ignition, the 21st, we are going to get an additional $100 for a total of $200. Now, the normal 100 will be paid, or as soon as that person triggers their 4 points in their allotted time. The second one will be paid after Ignition. Okay, and then if you'll notice, here's an example. They don't have a limit on how many people you sponsor. So let's just say that somebody was to sponsor 5 new associates between the 12th and 21st. Well, normally it's $100 business builder, so they're going to get that $500. But the additional $500 will be paid the week after Ignition. Again, this has to have 2 parameters to it. Somebody has to register and attend Ignition, and then you get that additional money. Again, Trey, the company's just doing everything to help us build our business, and this is an awesome promo, especially the fact that there's no limit. And right now, for everybody who sponsors someone, the new prospect's getting tripled to $300, and the sponsor's getting the $200. So a lot of money out there.
Brian, I'll tell you, man, this is insane. I've seen the company throw money at us, but they're using both hands. I mean, they are literally dumping money in our laps here. I've seen triple quick start 4, but never over this kind of extended period. And to combine that with double business build 4, I mean, that is just that's tons of money. I don't think we'll ever see it this good. This is phenomenal. And so here's what we've got here. You've got the biggest event in your career coming up, Ignition. It's the most important event right now in your Ignite career. An event that literally, if you got some of your team there, if you got some new people there, could have a life-changing effect, a compounding life-changing effect. And now you've got the tools to go out there and make that happen with this promotion. And so I tell you, Brian, let's talk about and let's speak. Let's talk from square one. Let's talk to the new associates out there. And if you've been in the Ignite for a while, this is what you've got to help your new associates do. This is the roadmap, man. This is the how-to. This is the simple, 1, 2, 3, connect the dots steps that you've got to take to make it happen, to make that explosion happen. Brian, we've heard the mantra 4 and 24. I know ever since I've ever seen this business, it is so important. Tell us what 4 and 24 is and why it is so important for a new associate. If somebody has just joined the business, why they must get this accomplished quickly.
Well, the 4 and 24, as you said, Trey, is our motto or our mantra. And just so that the new associate's clear, in our policy and procedures, Ignite gives the new associate 30 days from the day they join to get their 4 points in order to get their first $100 check. Certainly now it's tripled for people who joined since the 12th. But, Trey, I've said all along that if somebody has a 30-day deadline, they're probably still looking for that extra customer on day 29. So what a lot of us developed a motto of back early on was, hey, let's get your 4 points in the first 24 hours you're in the business, because bonus checks are paid every week. So if somebody were to trigger their first check in their first 24 hours, the first day they're in the business, that means their check is cut the following Friday. And, as you see the bullet points here, number 2, validation for the business is that check in your hand with your name on it. And when that dream killer, that brother-in-law says, well, that probably won't work, and you say, hey, I triggered my first check the first day I was in the business, and it came the next week, right? And so it's just a matter of taking massive immediate action, Trey, and it is about that validation with that first check in your hand. And if you follow the motto 4 and 24, your team tends to grow faster. Because if you do your first 4 points in your first 24 hours, then you can feel good about asking your new associate to, because you say, hey, I did mine in the first 24 hours. Let's work on doing that for you too. And it's easier to ask somebody else to do it if you have.
Man, I always think about, getting that first check, and I always think about what our number one money earner says about getting the money flowing. If you get the money to flowing, then your team is glowing and growing. And I love that, man, because that's exactly what that does. Somebody could join the business. You could literally show somebody the business tonight. They could join. They get their 4th customer. They switch themselves. They get their 4th customer point, their mom or their brother, and they could literally have that money in the bank before that credit card statement hits the mail. And so, they're never out. They're never out any money. They're in the business for $29, and they're off and running, Brian. They're off and running. Now, let's assume, hey, you've gotten in the business, you've done that. Whether you got in the business earlier today or a month ago or a year ago, you've gotten that accomplished. Let's talk about probably the most important asset that you have, Brian. Talk to us about your contact list, the people you know, and why it's important to have a long list.
Well, I always kind of chuckle when I see this, because, Trey, you mentioned the Ignite Academy early at the beginning of the call, and people will come up to me after a full day training at the Ignite Academy, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and they'll get nuggets from the best leaders in our business all day long, and a lot of people who like to hang out afterwards and ask questions. They'll always walk up to me and go, hey, this stuff was great today, this training was amazing, and then this always comes out of their mouth. Well, how do you really build it? Everyone thinks there's yet another secret that nobody is sharing with them. And I've racked my brain over being in this business for a little over 7 years, and Trey, I think, okay, what is the secret to the business? And is there one thing that I can point to help somebody? And it keeps coming back to this, that if you don't have a written list of names, you're fooling yourself. I learned that from Steve Fisher early on, who said that. I had a guy once, Trey, at a local business presentation. He was excited. He said, I have 300 names in my cell phone. I said, well, it doesn't matter till you put them on paper. And I like this as a good example, Trey, and this is a list from our Power Plan workbook. And it's the reason you put them on paper is so that you can monitor it and you can make notes for yourself. If they say, hey, I'm busy tomorrow, call me next week, or what it is, to keep making those notes. But the other thing that the list does, Trey, is the more names you have on the list, the better posture. And I don't mean stand-up straight posture. I mean posture that you don't have desperation written across your forehead. If you only got 17 people on your list of names, then every time somebody says no thank you, you're starting to whimper a little bit. But if you have 117 people on your names, no doesn't bother you. You're going to get back with them later and go on to the next one. And so the bigger the list of names, the better start you're going to get in the business. And so I'm with you, Trey. This is the most important thing we do when we start our business is build a big contact list. And, well, I say the most important thing. Then we got to start calling them.
I hear you, man. I hear this a lot, Brian. I don't know that many people. And to that, I say that's bull. We all know at least 250, 300 people. You know why? Because Reader's Digest says so. In fact, Brian, we know literally thousands of people. And if you just want to pull, you just have to pull those names out of your head. I like to use the phone book. I pull up, the yellow pages, and I ask myself, who do I know that's an accountant? Who do I know that needs an accountant? Who do I know that's an attorney? Who do I know that's been sued by an attorney? Who do I know that needs to sue an attorney? And by the time you get to D or E in the phone book, you'll have literally hundreds of names. And so I encourage you to make that list long, and use those memory joggers like the phone book. And our Power Plan workbook has a pretty good memory jogger in it too. But let's talk about what we do next. I mean, and my challenge is this, but before we move into this, set a goal to get through 100 names within the next 10 days. That's just 10 people, 10 calls a day. And so if you were to set a goal, and getting through it quickly is crucial. It's crucial because you're getting a lot done in a short period of time. Brian, talk about that. Do we send them emails? Do we blast out an email from everybody on our list? What are we going to do to get those people from our list into the business?
Yeah, boy, that just scares me and gives me heart palpitations to even hear you say that so often the brand new associate, hey, they're excited, they heed our advice and say, I got to start contacting people. But nowadays with social media, they'll broadcast something to their entire friend list on Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is, and basically we call that torching their entire list of names all at once. Or they'll send out a bulk email through all the addresses in their email and say, write a 3-page dissertation on deregulation and how to profit from it. Or they'll just start calling someone and trying to do a presentation over the phone. No, and no. This is a one brick at a time build, and you want to personalize this. And Trey, looking at this Valley of Death slide, I can hear your voice ringing through my head. Guys, Trey Dyer, has told us all for years, he or she who shows the plan the most wins. Well, how do you show the plan? By mastering the invitation, not necessarily ever having to give a presentation. Gosh, Trey, as I sit here, I think of so many of even the top 25 money earners, Terry Hatch and Martha Troy and Inga Sines, so many great leaders. I know Jay Veal for a long period of time. So many of our leaders who never got up in front of the room and ever gave the presentation, but they mastered the invitation to get somebody in front of 100% of the information. And there's a lot of us out there, myself included, who when we started in this business, we pretty much had a condominium in the Valley of Death. I was that guy that was so excited I was puking all over the phone. And after getting shut down, it made me realize, hey, I'm saying too much. So be excited, get on the phone, master the invitation for somebody to sit down and look at the information. And so I'm pretty passionate about this step, Trey. It is what we have to do, invite people. We're not selling anything. We just share an opportunity with them. But the danger is either torching your list of names through social media or emails or saying too much on the phone.
You know, I think about the valley of death, Brian, and you know you're in the valley of death if you are on the phone trying to invite somebody to take a look at the information. They start asking you questions, and you start answering them. If you find yourself doing that, you are in the valley of death. Brian, I'll tell you quickly. This is what I've been doing lately, and this is I'm really seeing some really good success with this. I'm keeping it so short, and I'm making it simple. I'm trying to get through a lot of people on my list because I want to recruit some or sponsor some people, you know, 2-3 people before ignition. And so I'm just going down my list and I'm calling my buddy and I'm saying, hey man, I'm going to send you a video. It's about 4 minutes long, and I want you to watch it. And I'm going to call you back. And you know what I'm sending them? I'm going into my prospecting center, and I'm sending them that Turning Energy into Income video just to find out whether they're interested in taking a look or not, Brian. Because I don't care if they say, no, I'm not interested. I'm just trying to find out whether they're interested, whether they want to look at more information. I'm going to call them back and I'll say, hey, is that something you'd like to see more of? If they start asking me questions, I'll say, hey, I don't really have time to answer your questions, and I'll put them on a webinar. I'll get them to a hotel meeting. I'll get them invited to a home meeting, or I'll have them take a look at an online webinar or webcast. I'm going to talk about those in a minute. We've got some of those going on, a blitz going on for Mr. Chris LeFay. And so that's what I'm doing, and I'm keeping it short and simple and not threatening like this, Brian.
Yeah, I like what you always say, Trey, one of your favorite lines. You're trying to decide whether or not you have a prospect or a suspect.
That's right, man. That's right. And, you know, invariably, if it's their time, if they like what they see with these promotions, you know, yeah, I may, after they see the information, after I show them the business plan, I may send them over the compensation video from the prospecting center as a follow-up. After they see those numbers, I may explain the promotion, how simple it is to get in the getting the black off of that for their business. But let's face it, man, they're going to join. People are going to join. You expose this business to people. You get this in front of a lot of people. You're going to have people to join, and you're going to have growth in your business. Now, one other thing, I guess we're getting near the end here, but you got to get plugged in. We've got weekly meetings all over the place. You can find in your power center, your back office. We've also got that Coaching the Cowboy conference call every Sunday night at 9. The number's on the screen, guys. They're interviewing top money earners and presidential directors every week. They're fun calls. They're great calls. I'd highly recommend you get on those. But I'll tell you, as a follow-up, if somebody's interested, I'll get a prospect on one of those calls because they're so much fun that I want the prospect to hear just how much fun we're having. The webinar blitz on Monday and Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. The registration link is the ignitebusinessplan.com, and that's hosted by Mr. Chris LeFay, and they have special guests every week on those. And then, of course, there's the Ignition 2013 website. That's ignition2013.net. Everything you want to know about Ignition, schedules, videos, photos, news, it's all there. I highly recommend you check that out. Brian, we've gone pretty long. We've given so much information. I'm so glad I recorded this. I'll tell you what, man, give us some closing thoughts on Ignition 2013. Share your excitement. Send it home, man.
Well, I can tell you that I have a feeling that by Saturday afternoon it'll be pandemonium in the arena. There'll be a lot of people excited about life, and you know, with our economy and the rut that people fall in on a daily basis, you know, to be in an area or a place where everybody's, as I said earlier, pulling from the same side of the rope, thinking positively, and really seeing a chance to make a difference in our lives. And that's what this is all about. First and foremost, what do you want? What do you want to make extra money for? What's your why? But it goes far beyond any one of us. And when it's extra gratifying, guys, is when it morphs past what you want and you realize how many people you can touch as far as changing their lives. And so, Trey, it's been a wild ride for 7 years, but it feels like a snap of the fingers, and I'm excited for our future, and I really do believe that this Ignition, more than maybe anyone, is going to be a difference maker.
No doubt about that. They always seem to be. Hey, listen, Brian, we've come to the end of our time. I want to thank you for helping put this together and helping put Ignition together, man. We know how hard you work with the academies and Ignition. I want to thank you for that. And thanks for investing your time in the future of not only my team, but everybody's team. Guys, we're going to do this again on Saturday. It'll be the next installment, second of the 3-part series. It's going to get more in detail. You don't want to miss it. Also, send your team to roadtoignition.com to register. You guys plug into a meeting this week, go to work, and let's get something done, guys. You guys have a good week, and we're going to sign off, guys. Good night. Good night, Brian.
Hey, thanks for all your work on this, Trey. You're the man.